Happy Tuesday with Tamika. Thank you all so much for joining me for yet another episode of Tuesday with Tamika, where you guys already know what it is. We believe in lifting as we climb, turning our trials into treasures, living a life to inspire and not impress, opening up and allowing God to fully restore us, and loving as if we have never been hurt. This week's episode, before I jump in, is sponsored by Freedom Class. Freedom Class is the easiest jewelry class in the world. They allow you to wear beautiful jewelry without all the hassles of trying to get that class connected. I'm super grateful that Freedom Class donated a bunch of their bracelets to our Blossom Brunch that happened last month. So I am going to put the link in the bio for you to not only see how easy and effortlessly you can adorn your body with this beautiful jewelry, but also how you can go and order your Freedom Class today. So before we jump in, I want to talk to you guys about the process of mending broken pieces. If you have been listening to TWT for any length of time, you know that I believe in the power of healing. I also believe that sometimes everything is not going to be perfect. Social media, the world tells us that you are going to be completely whole. Now, I do believe that God has the power to heal us like nothing has ever happened, but there sometimes may be some of those cracks and bruises and things that is our opportunity to show to the world. Think of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. When he died, the one thing, when he came back, he showed Timothy those scars. He showed him those holes in his wrist to let him know that he had been bruised, that he had been hurt. However, he was still completely whole. I believe today's guest is going to have her own Mending Broken Pieces story, and she is going to help us through some practical steps of how we can heal our past, mend our broken pieces, and be the women that God has called us to be. Without further ado, hey sis, you have a minute?
Hey sis, you got a minute? Hey sis, you got a minute? Hey sis, you got a minute? Hey sis, you got a minute?
Hey, Teresa and the audience, how are you guys?
Doing well, doing well. It's Tamika, but no worries, no worries. You got it.
Oh God.
Teresa, that's okay. No
Oh,
worries.
forgive me.
No worries, Latonya.
Oh
I
gosh.
know you before we jumped on, we were just talking about how you have worked a full shift. So I'm charging it to your head, not your heart.
Okay, yes, thank you so much. Oh my God, that is so crazy. Okay, I'm sorry. But
No worries.
um
Tell the TWT family a little bit more about yourself.
okay, well, my name's Latonya T Moore, and I am an author, also a spiritual life coach, and a mother to four. Um, the eldest sibling of six, and yeah, just um I'm just here to tell, uplift, encourage, motivate, and inspire someone with some of the challenges and things that God has brought me from. And my motto about that is that if you don't know who he is, I am one example of who he is and what he can do. And
Mm.
so just to, encourage the other person to trust in him, to have your faith in him, to know that he is maybe not working on their timing, but his timing, or whatever the situation or circumstance is.
Absolutely. That trust word has literally been ringing true, especially for 2024 with all of the stuff that's going on in our world. My first journal that I wrote was 21 day gratitude journal, and at the top of at the cover it is the scripture Proverbs 3:5-6. Trust in the Lord with all your heart, lean not into your own understanding. In all your ways, if you acknowledge him, he will direct your path. I do believe that that even includes as we're mending from broken pieces. I want to go back a little bit, Latanya, and talk about how God has really helped you mend and heal from some of your own traumas. Tell us give the TWT family a story about how God has healed and mended your heart.
Okay. I don't know. It's kind of like a medley of different ones. I don't know if I could leave one out without the other, but um, integrals of my life. It's so in 2009, we were cleaning up the basement to move out of a home and then into preparing to move into another home. Well, it had mold.
Mm,
not that I knew that, but it had black mold in the basement, which led me to s- my lungs don't function 100%. So I was inhaling, I guess, the black mold, and I had mold poisoning. So
mm,
I went directly to intensive care for like 8 days. And as of still today, my lungs don't function 100%, but no one would know that if I didn't say it. But I'm being transparent about my story. So that's what happened. My lungs were affected. And so I got through that. And then let's see, 2014, I had an asthmatic attack. And
mm,
I never had asthma before, but I did have bronchitis as a child. So, but they called this an asthmatic attack where I stopped breathing and went into the hospital again on a ventilator.
mm,
And the thing with that is I don't want to rush through it but I know we don't want to have not a lot of not a lot of time, but with that is the power of prayer. My mother was a praying woman. I come from a family of um, just spiritual women. My
mm,
grandmother that was a missionary, wore white all the time, and went to this hospitals, prayed for the sick, stuff like that. So, and then passed it on down to my mother, which was an apostle in at before she got her wings. And but at this time, why I'm bringing that up, at this time, I was in the hospital. The nurses were telling her, "Oh, don't bother her. Just let her rest. She needs to rest." And she looked at them and she prayed over me anyway. And
mhm,
I'm saying this for just to get the gist of what I'm trying to get to is that the power of prayer, um, the connection with someone that has a spiritual, like a relationship with him. My mother prayed over me, and I was on that machine, and I came off that machine the next day. And I
yeah,
know that it was nothing but God and the power of prayer that did that, is why I got into all of that. So it's just wonderful and amazing how he just works and how he does.
mhm,
And so I came off of that, and then, of course, it was a process of going through that, which when trauma sets into the body, um, I incurred, because I stopped breathing, I had incurred fibromyalgia, nerve pain, and joint pain. I never had before. And so
mhm,
this was another like um, another category of things that I had to start to get used to. And so anyway, it was just a process of getting myself back on track. In 2014, I was uh I was volunteering at a women's center where I
mm,
got certified in domestic abuse, violence, and abuse and everything for it to do that. And uh, the word mending broken pieces came to me,
mm,
like it was God gave me that. And so at the time I thought it was for my mom, so I told her about it, and she said no. She said that word is for you,
mm,
because that's what she prophetically, that's what she spirit led, said, told her it was for me. And so I at the time, and then I didn't know, okay, I was in the midst of doing that for other people, but
mhm,
not connecting it at that time. And then it just it rang into my mind. And so since 2014, I've been trying to write Mending Broken Pieces. Well, at
mhm,
the time, didn't know I was gonna name it that, but this book.
Mm,
to um, uplift, motivate, and inspire someone, but not knowing that it had to come out in 2023. Actually, on Thanksgiving is when it went live. Um, and all the time I'm thinking, okay, well, why is it taking so long? But I had to go through some things to get back on track, and he was adding to the story
mhm,
in the midst of everything. Um, so then I in 2017, 2017, my mother got her wings, and that was devastating to go to. So that was a form of grief and things like that, different things to encounter and try to, navigate. And
mhm,
so then 8 months later, wasn't even nowhere near done with trying to process my mother. My father
mm.
that gets his wings as well. And it's funny because eh, this is like a full circle moment. Today is his heavenly birthday. So,
Wow.
and I knew that when I picked this, but just went off of being I was spirit led to just pick it and just to do it anyway. And like I
Mhm,
said, I was, working overnight and got off this morning to still I knew that, but it was just whenever he leads and guides me to do something, that's just what it is, and I don't ask questions. It just
mm. I
and
love that. One of the things that I often say, or one of my prayers really, is for God to be a lamp unto my feet and a light into my pathway. And it
Mhm,
sounds like that is really your journey to
mhm,
mending broken pieces. I know that there's so many different stories that intertwine in your healing journey and
yeah.
your what do you feel like is the biggest lessons that you learned in God mending your broken pieces?
Um, that my faith and I've seen him work, um, I mean, like a miracle status,
Mhm,
and I just believe and trust in him so much that I've seen some, what he can do, and it's only that standing and still doing today, even through and everything, um, and so my faith in him doesn't move, it doesn't waver. I have a relationship with him, um, and I truly just trust and anything that he leads and guides me, any sign or signal that I see, I just try to be obedient, not perfect, and don't get it all right, but try to be obedient to what I hear him saying, and I'm just forever grateful and thankful
mhm.
about
Would you
that.
say your first, evidence that he's a healer was in the black mold situation, or was there something if you look back because one thing I know for sure is God has data, and his data never fails. I heard a quote yesterday that said, "If you are ever wondering if God can do something, just ask him to show you past data." And when we look at what he's done in the past, it will always help us when we're going through a tough season. So, is that the first evidence? Or if you look back, can you remember times maybe in your childhood or earlier, even before the mode incident, that God showed himself as a healer and a mender in your life?
Um, yeah, the mold, I guess, and then I guess before that, maybe um, I had some challenges with my marriage and things like that. So, and I guess that was in the early 2000s. And he's brought me through that as well. And so, even I guess when I don't know why this is sticking out, but when I was a child, like you know how like you have those little folding chairs, and I don't remember how old I was, but it was like one of those little folding chairs, and I think sat on it the wrong way, or however I sat on it, it folded or whatever, and it cut my chin.
Mhm,
and so but I all I can remember is that happening, and but I don't see anything from where that was.
Mhm.
Like how he keeps and how he mends and heals us. Sometimes we can have a process that we go through, but never look like it. And he
Mhm.
does a good job of keeping, us in that way. And so I just remember that. I don't know why that stuck out, but maybe it was for me to say, so I did. When you said childhood, so that's what popped into my mind, that chair incident.
Yeah,
So,
I think it's because God very much like the 3 Hebrew boys, right? Like, they went through the fire, but they didn't look like what they nothing, no, not even the smell of smoke was on them.
yeah,
Sounds
yeah,
like that's how God has been in your life.
yeah, yeah, he's so good, and wonderful and amazing, to me, and I know to everyone, to others that believe in him. I really can't do nothing without him, and, I'm just thankful and grateful to even just still be standing because I know that we talked about the 2009 and 2014 and then my parents in 2017 18, but 2018 as well. I wanted to mention that grieving so much, I want to educate people on that as well because grieving so much, um well, my it affected my health. And so my asthma was out of control and all over the place, and I was on a medication. And this is the thing here. I It's real important that I want to educate people about is that I had a stroke off of medication. Not I had a stroke off of, high blood pressure and all like that, that what a person would normally do. And I want to educate people on that as well, is to watch what they're taking and the
Mm,
side effects. So, I was given this medication for months and months and months, and it was in turn um, creating blood clots on my brain, three of them,
mm,
that sent me to have a stroke. And
mm.
this was 2018. And
Wow.
so I mean, I sit here today to tell my story with you and just in awe and just thankful to, still be standing just over, everything that excuse me, that we had talked about. If that wasn't enough, he's still, and I tell everything to say, guys, y'all gotta get it. He is awesome. He's wonderful. He's amazing. He works miracles, and you know, here is one of his miracles, and I'm going to advocate for him to the end of time, just so people can get it. You need to get some, and if you don't know about it, you need to get some of what
Yeah.
he's about. So yeah, I'm
I
just.
love I love that story. I don't love that that happened to you, but I also, had, am recovering from a major stroke. I had a stroke at 32 years old, and
Mhm,
mine was out with any, I didn't have any the hypertension, the high blood I didn't have any of that. It was really for me, it was stress. I was under a lot of stress, and the stress tried to take me out, and,
mhm,
it happened on my brain, the part of brain that produces, speech. So it's amazing to me that I'm doing the work that I'm doing, although this happened. So here on TWT, we completely believe in miracles. We believe in the power of God. We walk in that. We lean on that.
mhm,
Uh, the other thing that I love that you're sharing is last week's episode, we talked about, we had a holistic doctor that talked about medication and how to really listen to your body and how to, um, the regular medicine, like doctors, they don't really have what we need, and we really need to be going to practitioners that work on mind, body, and soul, because a lot of these medical issues that we are dealing with are the medical professionals, they're just putting band-aids on it, but they're not getting to the root cause of what's really going on. And a lot of these medical issues are tied to emotional things or spiritual things.
mhm,
And I love that you brought that up, talking about what m m thinking about what type of medication you're taking, because so often we're consuming stuff but not really knowing the implications that it's happening to our body. So I love that. So I wanna jump into your book and how folks can find out more about it. Where do we learn of this book? How can we get in contact with you, Latanya?
okay. Mending Broken Pieces is out in Barnes and Noble, Books a Million, and Goodread. It's also on Amazon and Kindle. Um, and my website, I have a website that is Mending Broken Pieces 70.com. That's the website. You can reach me on there as well as on Instagram, Mending Broken Pieces 70 on Instagram. And uh, my I have a YouTube as well. It's mending underscore broken underscore pieces on YouTube, as well as my email address is mending broken pieces 7 at gmail.com. So you can reach me on any of those platforms.
Awesome. Well, she made it very easy, TWT family, for us to get in contact with her. I will make sure that we leave all the links to her book so you can learn more about Latonya. Maybe you are looking for a spiritual life coach, someone to help guide you into strengthen your spiritual domain. You guys know here at TWT, we believe in the 5 domains of life, and spiritual being the cornerstone of us becoming all that God has called us to be. So I will make sure that I link all of her information in the show notes so you all can get in contact with her. Latanya, I want to leave us with one last question. What does living a life to inspire and not impress mean to you?
It means to me everything, because I know that I was allowed to go through the things that I did, to not sit on it, and but be able to run and tell somebody about it, and to be able to, uplift and encourage someone that is in that same area where I had been, where, so I can go and be able to get them and encourage them, and know, just bring them to some kind of hope, and to whatever it is that they're going through. So it means a lot to me that I was made an example to do this, because I will not sit down on what has transpired in my life, so that I can, I was made an example. So, I'm going to be able to uplift, encourage, and motivate the next person, whoever needs it. And I thank you so much for having me on. This has been awesome. And I just pray that the listeners, somebody gets what they need out of this, because it is about me, but it is about me to tell who he is and
Mhm.
what he can do. So,
Absolutely. Thank you so much for being on the episode. We truly count it an honor and privilege, and we just really wish you uninterrupted godly success. TWT family, we thank you. We thank you so much for tuning in for yet another episode. Do us a favor, go on over to freedomclass.com and order your bracelet. Also, go over to Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and YouTube and subscribe to the YouTube or to our podcast channels. Make sure that you leave us those 5-star reviews so we can get in the ears and the eyes of more listeners. We thank you guys so much. Until next week, bye bye.